Hello and welcome to Hispanic Agenda, Washington's only bilingual news program. I'm Alejandro Negron. Thank you for watching. On today's agenda, should everyone go to college? The roundtable weighs in on billionaire Michael Bloomberg's comments that high school students may be better off becoming plumbers. And on the growing protests in Mexico over the disappearance of 43 students. But first, the second enrollment period for the Affordable Care Act has begun. But a recent survey by the polling firm Latino Decisions shows that many are still unfamiliar with the law mandating health insurance coverage. Telemundo Washington's Valeria Aponte with what you need to know. Valeria.
Alejandro, the medical treatment is much cheaper if one has health insurance. Also, getting sick or to be involved in an accident that requires medical attention is impossible to predict. And while medical experts agree that it is vital to have medical insurance, millions still live without it. The majority are Latinos, but now there's a second chance.
Round 2 to enroll for the Affordable Care Act, better known as Obamacare. Americans will have a new opportunity to enroll for health insurance starting today until February 15th, 2015.
It is much better in this country to have a health insurance card and know how to use it than not to have coverage.
According to White House officials, 8 million Americans signed up for health insurance during the first open enrollment period. However, millions continue to be uninsured, and if they don't sign up, they will pay.
People who are going to skip this time for the second time, they are really playing a lottery. They may get a condition this year and they may get into bankruptcy, and they are going to regret not getting the health insurance they need.
Starting in 2015, the fines for those who are uninsured will be higher than they were in 2014. Families will now be charged $162.50 per uninsured child and $325 for adults. And that's only for not having health insurance. Medical treatment will also be more expensive. We're talking about a difference of thousands of dollars.
It is essential to have a medical insurance in this country. Everything is so expensive that if you have no health insurance and you get to the hospital with any condition, what you are going to pay is going to be extraordinarily high.
A headache that can ruin your future.
The number one reason for bankruptcy in this country is healthcare. And the number one reason into healthcare is cancer care. So it is much better to have a health insurance and pay a small co-payment than to get into bankruptcy and have to sell everything you have in order to get help from the government. So health insurance is essential to have in this country.
Of course, many of us have questions about how to enroll, what are the benefits, and the different options. Well, a town hall will be taking place November 19th at the Hilton Garden Inn, Fairfax in Virginia, where experts will answer all your questions.
Thank you, Valeria. Now, let me ask you about the website. Last year, people trying to sign up for coverage using healthcare.gov had a hard time doing so. Is the government better prepared? Is the website better equipped to handle the demand this time around?
Well, according to the government, it is better. They have fixed it. Obama actually said that they've double and triple checked it. And during the enrollment period, they're going to also be monitoring it. So honestly, it's something that we have to wait and see.
We'll wait and see. Well, thank you so much, Valeria Aponte from Telemundo, Washington. When we come back, overcoming the challenges of getting Latinos to sign up for health insurance coverage. Then later, are your kids better off becoming plumbers than going to college? Ex-New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg thinks so. We'll get into it with a roundtable when Hispanic Agenda continues. Welcome back to the program. Although the uninsured rate for Hispanics has dropped under the Affordable Care Act, it remains the highest among all other groups. Why? What are some of the challenges to getting Latinos signed up? Let's ask someone in the front lines of the efforts to get our people covered. Michelle Larue is the Senior Manager of Health and Human Services at Casa de Maryland. Welcome to the program. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting me.
We had a conversation similar to this one last year about getting people signed up. So it's great to catch up with you. Let's start with the uninsured rate. Let's take a look at the uninsured rate. Apparently, many more Americans are getting health coverage. The total decrease is about 26% for all groups. For Hispanics, it's been 18%. For whites, 28%. For blacks, 38%. Others, 38%. So the Hispanics still remain the group with the highest number of uninsured people in the United States. Why is that?
Unfortunately, it is. It's multifactorial, but one of the biggest issues that we actually can combat, which we want to stress around, is the lack of awareness. We really want to get the word out about the new ACA open enrollment coming around. It starts this Saturday, and the affordability, it really is much more affordable than I think people realize.
Is that the main concern people have when they come to you at Casa de Maryland and you tell them about signing up and they look at how much it's going to cost them? Is that the main factor for Latinos not signing up?
That is one of the main factors. That was the primary question that we got, and even also the primary reason they hadn't seeked it out previously.
Okay.
So even before the ACA, that was the number one reason why people didn't get insurance was due to insurance rates.
Now, a few media outlets have reported that some Latinos are afraid that the information that they will be providing at the website or to get coverage will be used to deport some of their family members. This is a myth, is it not?
Yes, it is a myth. We've
But
gotten
it's still
assurances.
something that you hear in the community all the time, right?
We do sometimes hear it, not as much as before.
Okay.
We haven't experienced any. We enrolled thousands of people last year in the Maryland exchange, and we haven't heard of any case where that was the issue. We have assurances from all of the federal agencies. The only reason for providing the information is for verification, is to say that you are who you say you are on the application. It's just to verify the information so that we can complete the application, and it's not stored and is not used for anything else.
All right, talk to me quickly about the higher penalties that people have to pay this year if they don't sign up.
Yeah, so the penalties do go up as you don't abide by the new ACA regulations every year. So for this being the second year, if this is the second year you choose not to participate, the penalties are now $325 per person,
Okay.
And half of that per child, or 2% of your income, whichever one is greater.
All right, thank you, Michelle LaRue, for the information. And we want to remind you that Telemundo Washington is presenting a town hall on the Affordable Care Act. This is next Wednesday, the 19th, from 6 to 8 at the Hilton Garden in Fairfax, 3950 Fur Ridge Drive, Fairfax, Virginia. I'll be hosting with Zulema Salazar from Telemundo. Well, we don't have time for more. Michelle, once again, thank you for the information. And coming up, I'll get the roundtable's take on the unrest in Mexico over the disappearance of 43 students. Then later, is college for everyone? When Hispanic Agenda continues. Welcome back to Hispanic Agenda. 43 student protesters vanished in Mexico on September 26 in the southern state of Guerrero after police shot their buses, killing 6 people and then delivering the 43 normalistas to a drug gang after authorities said that the 43 missing students were murdered and their bodies incinerated by hitmen who confessed to the massacre. Violent protests have erupted in Mexico. Let's get insights into this tragedy from ABC7's John Gonzalez, national correspondent for La Opinión, Maria Peña, and Judy Pino from the Libre Initiative. Welcome to the program. Thank you for being here. Maria, I want to start with you. While the students went missing back in September, I don't think the American public has paid much attention to this story until recently. Can you please give us an overview as to what's happening in Mexico?
Well, what's happening is that this is like the last straw. I mean, there's over 27,000 people that have disappeared, and there's very little accountability. You know, not many people have been prosecuted for those crimes. And so now you have this case where, 43 students were protesting conditions at the school where they were, in Ayotzinapa, in Iguala. It's a very southern, it's a southern town in Guerrero. It's very poor. Guerrero has always been like a breeding pot of, protests because it's such a poor state. And so they were going to protest the conditions at the school The school is known for left-leaning students and activism, but regardless of their ideology, what's happened to them is just horrendous. It's unspeakable, and so people have finally come to the point where they're fed up. There's even a Twitter campaign saying, "Ya me cansé, I'm fed up."
Right.
Where's the accountability? Where's
Based on
the
the
outrage?
prosecutor's comment a few weeks ago, or 2 Fridays ago, after being 60 minutes answering questions from reporters, he basically said, "Ya me cansé," and people have actually used that as a hashtag to
because they
also talk about what
threw
else
it
they're
back
tired
at
of.
him. They threw it back at him saying,
Right.
"Well, we're fed up too.
Sure.
Where's the accountability? Who's going to be punished for this?" Even the U.S. Weighed in. I called the State Department and they said, yes, we want those people brought to justice, and we do want them to have due process, but there has to be accountability. I mean, this cannot go on. And then there's also the context of this. While all of this is going on, there's even more outrage when you see Twitter pictures of the First Lady's stylist flying over with them to China.
Sure.
And people are really
mansion.
outraged. But I think the lesson here, like I was saying earlier, there are a lot more people disappeared, and what they're saying is, the way these people were murdered, dismembered, incinerated beyond recognition.
Right.
Some of the family members don't even really believe that that's actually happened to them until they see DNA evidence. And so what they're saying is there needs to be accountability. I mean, this has long-term consequences for Mexico's image.
And John, the other thing that's outrageous, they found, I guess, 28 bodies or around that number, and they thought that it may be the missing students, and it wasn't them. So this is a problem that Mexico has been dealing with for many years.
It's not a new problem. I mean, you gave the numbers. There's thousands of similar incidents. I think the reason why this has become so mainstream around the world is because of that political undertone. You have a president and a first lady involved, and now there's the question of corruption with ethics, and the first lady, Angelica Rivera, purchasing the mansion from a group that recently was granted a contract, all that very suspicious, and just the act itself. I mean, to hear that these students were burned, suffocated, shot. I mean, just the way and it just really raises the issue of the gang war
and hand it over to these gangs.
Well, the intellectual authors have been caught. I mean, the mayor was apparently involved, and he's been detained.
And his wife.
But, and goes back to the parents saying, we don't really fully believe the story. I mean, you can get somebody to confess to a crime they didn't commit, or maybe they were involved, but there are far more people. I mean, the way this was done, there has to be far more people involved in this.
And the ripple effect will be tremendous from the crime to the tourism. You're talking about an area, Acapulco. I mean, it's such a busy area this time of year.
Great point. Joaquin Vadillo, who's the president of the Employers Association of Guerrero State, said that Acapulco hotel occupancy rates are down to 20%, well short of the 85%, which is normal for this time of year. By the way, in Mexico, they're getting ready to commemorate their revolution of 1910. It's basically like a 4th of July, I would imagine, type of weekend here in the United States, where many Mexicans go to the beaches and go to places like Acapulco. Judy.
Violence has always been an issue when it comes to Mexico, but I think what really has brought this to light is the fact that it was youth, that it was young people that are in the middle of this massacre, and it's brought to light the corruption and gang violence that has always existed in Mexico. I kind of almost compare it to what happened in Ferguson, because this young person died. People started to rise up and say, what is going on with our government? What is going on with our police? People want answers. Especially in a poverty-stricken area.
So let me ask you about that, Maria. What do you think is going to happen with the administration of Enrique Peña Nieto? How is he handling this? I saw protesters calling him a murderer and kind of involving him in all of this.
Well, he's obviously not handling it well. I mean, it's a huge PR disaster for his administration. I mean, here he is trying to project an image of progressive policies, economic reforms, attracting foreign investment.
A stronger economy.
A stronger economy.
And for Mexico, too.
Yeah, and what happened is, they have shifted the narrative from a security perspective. They're not outright saying they've won the war on gangs and war and drugs, because they clearly haven't. But they shifted the narrative to focus on, look how good we're doing this. The economy has gotten better. Illegal immigration has dropped down to almost zero. And so we're doing all these things. And then along comes this huge scandal, which they obviously haven't handled well. And, you know, it really runs the risk of, you know, tainting the image he's trying to project to the world, because people need to feel safe. It's not just about your economic growth. It's also about how are people feeling secure in their own neighborhoods, and they're clearly not feeling secure.
So these two topics or these two issues are kind of converging now.
And the bigger question is, you know, what's going to happen next? Because the normalistas are not going to go away. This has been an ongoing issue.
Right. All right. Well, thank you so much, panel. Interesting discussion, like always. When we come back, we'll continue with our panel. A Harvard-educated billionaire says that some high school students may be better off becoming plumbers. So is college for everyone? Next on our agenda. Welcome back to Hispanic Agenda. Ex-New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg, a Johns Hopkins and Harvard graduate, recently said that college may not be for everyone. As an example, he referred to one of his employees' dad, a plumber who never went to college, but today employs 6 other plumbers, which apparently allows the business owner to play as much golf as Bloomberg only wished he could play. Is college for everyone? Let me welcome back to the round table, ABC 7's John Gonzalez, national correspondent for La Opinión, Maria Peña, and Judy Pino from the Libre Initiative. Welcome to the program once again.
Thank you.
All right, so is college for everyone? I'm listening to Michael Bloomberg speak, and, you know, I'm wondering, should I tell, you know, my kids that maybe college is not for them? Have I been wrong this whole time by telling my kids, you're going to go to college, you're going to go to college, I don't care, you're going to go to college?
I just think it depends on what the individual's career path is. You know, you need to look at whether or not you're willing to invest the time, the money, the energy, the long-term goals that you need. I mean, it takes a lot of discipline to go to college, and it may be true that it's not for everyone, but definitely what you don't want to do is discourage young people from even trying. You know, suppose someone just doesn't have the discipline to go through a 4-year career path. It just depends on that, like the example you gave. Yes, there are a lot of trade schools you could go to and make a lot of money. I mean, you know, heck, when you call an electrician to your house, you know, a half-hour bill can run you in the hundreds.
You can make a lot of money that way, that's for sure.
So it just depends on that, but I think studies for the most part bear out the fact that there's an opportunity cost, but still even today, the benefits outweigh the cost. So you don't want to discourage people from even trying.
But isn't that the debate, that maybe the benefits did not outweigh the cost because the cost of a college education is so expensive?
You know, this is a conversation that's been trending because of the recession, because students are getting out of college and they're not finding jobs. And you know, I take issue with that, because to tell you the truth, I think college and getting an education, no matter what it is really the best path out of poverty and the best way to have opportunity and create opportunity for yourself. If you're not an educated person, yes, you are going to end up doing low-skilled work. But having said that, I think as a parent and as a person, as an individual, you really have to take a look at what your skills are, at your personality. You have to know your child. Is your child an Ivy League, somebody who should be in an Ivy League college, or is your child better off doing a trade? You know, you really have to look at that stuff, because parents do feel that the pressure to put their kids through college, and the kids go to college, they really don't benefit from it, or they spend their time partying and they really don't take advantage of it.
Or they leave with large amounts of debt
that they can't pay off.
Well, you know, the problem, I think you hit it right on the nail. I think the real issue here is not whether or not you should go to college. I think, you know, studies really say you should.
Right.
The problem is, how do you make it affordable? You know, when you're telling people that there's a huge gap between high school graduates in terms of pay and lifetime earnings, a huge gap between high school graduates and college graduates, yeah, that's all fine and good, but how do you make it affordable so that people can dream of getting a college education? You know, right now, you know, student loans are only second to mortgages, and they're higher than credit card debt. That's just not acceptable in this country.
I think you're absolutely right, because you asked the question, benefit over cost, and this is a very timely discussion, because just this week, statistics were released that show that college tuition has gone up yet again. And I have some of those numbers here. The average student attending a 4-year university, an in-state college, pays roughly $19,000 now. Out of state, $32,000. If you want to go to a private school, $42,000. You look at those numbers, students today attending colleges are paying more than triple what students paid 30 years ago. So I think you're right. I mean, you have to it's not a question of whether you should. I talked to my dad this morning about this issue, and he came to this country as a young man, didn't go to school, became a waiter, a busboy. But he believes in those traditional beliefs of college and universities, why there's so much benefit to having a trade and a career. Because if it doesn't benefit you here in the U.S., maybe you'll return home one day if you're a Latino in this country,
Set up your
not born in this
business,
country.
yeah.
But
And
again, it's about finding how to make it affordable.
And again, going to college is not necessarily the same thing as being educated. Okay, you can get an education in college, of course, but there are plenty of people who are educated, business owners who never went to college, but decided to learn their trade, learn how to be an entrepreneur, and are being successful. So it's about being educated. I don't think Michael Bloomberg is telling people to drop out of high school.
Well, because you
Also having a strong work
you know, when you look at what are the benefits of getting an education, it's not just the financial gain. Obviously, you are going to make more money, but you're going to be a more well-rounded individual. You're going to know about the world. You know, it's about what you said. It's about being a very educated person, making important decisions as a consumer, as a voter, having more civic participation. Those are things that you really can't quantify. You can't really measure, and that comes with having a higher education.
And I'm sure there's plumbers with college degrees these days.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
All right, guys, thank you so much. We don't have time for more. Please check out our Facebook page and follow us on Twitter at agenda_DC. Tune into Telemundo Washington for the Spanish version of this program. Be sure to join us again next week here on News Channel 8. Have a great weekend, and thank you for watching.